He died like a dog. He died like a coward. The world is now a much safer place.
That was then US President Donald Trump claiming that the killing of ISIS chief Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi left America and the world safer. It just so happens that days before his second stint at the White House begins, an army veteran killed more than a dozen people while waving a homemade ISIS flag. The New Orleans attack is a reminder that the threat emanating from the terrorist group never actually left. Hello and welcome, I'm Ananya Datta for Hindustan Times, and you're watching In Depth. When one sits down and decodes the psyche of the New Orleans suspect, Shamsuddin Jabbar, one realizes that he took a page out of ISIS's rulebook. Back in 2010, Al-Qaeda, compatriot of ISIS in the early days, published an article. It was titled, "Make a Bomb in the Kitchen of Your Mom." The inherent patriarchy in the phrase aside, Jabbar from Texas did something similar. He booked an Airbnb to make explosive devices. He used social media to propagate and even justify his ideology. He rented a pickup truck that eventually rammed into the New Year's revelers.
What I can tell you right now is that he was 100% inspired by ISIS. And so we're digging through more of the social media, more interviews, working with some of our other partners to ascertain just how, to ascertain a little bit more about that connection.
The incident has thrust ISIS back into the spotlight. It might not rule a territory anymore, but its borderless power on social media has been thriving. Geopolitics has played its part. The Islamic State found its footing in the early days of the Syrian civil war. The chaos acted like a breeding ground for the terror group to declare its caliphate and at its peak, recruit 30,000 fighters. They held sway over much of Syria and northern Iraq at a time when it thrived throughout Africa and Asia, organizing a series of deadly terror attacks in European cities. Syria today has changed. The war is over, at least on the surface. Bashar al-Assad's regime has been uprooted, making way for Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS as it's known. US officials are concerned that the political uncertainty may allow ISIS to expand from its remote desert strongholds.
So I think President Trump will have a strong incentive to want to make sure that we're at least keeping a lid on ISIS reemerging in Syria. But the most effective way to do that, beyond making sure that we keep whatever forces are necessary to do that.
And it's not just that. Experts say radicalization is on the rise, thanks to the wars in Gaza, Israel, and Lebanon. It is paving the way for a resurgence of lone wolf plots, something ISIS calls do-it-yourself attacks. There is growing concern that radicalized individuals like Jabbar might use low-tech means such as stabbing, shootings, and driving vehicles into crowds. And the problem is that such plans are notoriously difficult to detect. And that brings us to Donald Trump. In his first term, he declared victory over the Islamic State. More than 6 years later, US troops still operate in Syria, fighting the very same group. The terrorist threat landscape looks much different, of course. As Trump readies his bags for the White House, the threat might be closer to home than he earlier thought. There is Syria and the threat of outward regrouping amid a power vacuum. Then there is Islamic State Khorasan in Afghanistan, which claimed responsibility for the deadly Moscow attack in April last year. And then there is the invisible enemy, the internet. In recent times, the group has demonstrated a particular social media savvy to expand its digital caliphate. It is faceless, leaderless, and fearless. So what will Trump do differently to stop troubled people like Jabbar from falling prey to ISIS's latest caliphate? Can Trump ensure that ISIS is completely eliminated in his second stint as US president? We'll wait and watch.
What the changes in India's population and the differential growth rates.
This city has emerged.
We have a very special guest on the record.
The interview.
The role that the US side played at that point of time.
पूरी दुनिया की नजर
Assume my phone is tapped, I can probably say hello to Mr. Modi.
आपके भारत पर है.
Episode of Know Your Candidate.
The rising confidence of India under Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Communist China is the greatest threat.
There will come a day that we will see far more radical extremists.
I'm still a little perplexed by why we.
Your daily dose of news from India and across the world. Cutting edge views and analysis. Tune into HT videos. Click on the bell icon to subscribe.